Hello friends, today we'll discuss the second chapter of economic survey, that is India's medium term growth outlook with optimism and hope. So in this chapter, survey is discussing about the medium term growth rate. Actually, any country's economic policy must aim at both short term and as well as medium term. Okay, in long term also we need to, but you cannot forecast the challenges that is going to happen in the next 10-15 years, okay, or let it be 20 years. But anyhow, your policy should not have a short term approach alone. Your policy should aim at both short term as well as the medium term. Now, in this economic survey trying to explain how the policies of the present government is going to give the results in the medium term. Okay, if you see the first chapter, they have given the projection, like what will be the growth rate for the next immediate year and what is the growth rate for the current year. But whereas when it comes to the second chapter, it discusses about the medium term growth, that means in the next 1 decade what will be the average growth rate. So the point here is why they are talking more about medium term. Okay, they talked about short term, but why they are talking about the medium term? They are talking about the medium term because we have experienced the same thing in our history. Especially they have taken a period between 1998 and 2002. 1998 and 2002. Between 1998 and 2002 also, the then government has taken up various reform measures, but that started yielding the results after some delay, with some delay. Why there was a delay? Definitely any reform will have its own delayed impact. You can, if I bring a reform, it cannot give the results immediately. It has to settle down, it has to be grounded, it has to be implemented, it has to be reached to the minds of the people and investors, definitely. But why they are taking 1998-2002 approach and why they are comparing it today? Because even though if we bring the reforms, that reforms sometimes because of temporary shocks can delay the growth process. And if you observe the present day economy, though we are bringing lot of reforms, though we are growing at the fastest level in the world of the major economies, but still if you compare our growth rate, it is not that high. If you compare ourselves, because in the history of India, it was grown at 9%, 10%, but we are now not growing at that rate. Because of that, some temporary shocks. The same temporary shocks has occurred between 1998 and 2002. But after that, it has started giving the results. The same case happened with the present day economic policies, because it will certainly give results in the medium term. So that is the motto behind this whole chapter. And if you see the government reforms, the reforms taken up by the government, I'll explain it. Okay. So what they are saying is, today the government has taken up various measures and they have classified that measures into 5 broad categories. One is the economy underwent a gamut of wide-ranging structural and governance reforms that includes improving the ease of living and doing business. So ease of living and ease of doing business, on that front we have brought lot of reforms. Reforms based on the broad principles of creating public goods. Yes, whatever the reform that you bring, it must create a public good. Adopting a trust-based governance. Yes, the government is trusting the wealth creators, and wealth creators should be a law-abiding citizen. Co-partnering with the private sector for development. Yes, this government strongly believes in the cooperation of the private sector, because government alone cannot bring the whole development. Improving the agricultural productivity. Yes, agricultural productivity, further they have come up with lot of measures. I will give you what are the measures. So, but they have brought all these reforms, but these reforms are not giving the results in the present day context. Why they are not giving? Because there are some problems. What are the problems? Largely due to the balance sheet stress caused by the credit boom in the previous years. So, in the previous years, that means in the post 2008 global crisis scenario, the loose monetary policy followed in India has have a devastating impact on both financial institutions and as well as non-financial institutions, that is companies. So it has affected the balance sheet of both. We are in the process of recovering it. That is why even though we brought the reforms, it has not given a result. Temporary shock. Due to the one of the global shocks that followed, and after that we have seen COVID-19, after that we have seen Russia-Ukraine war, global monetary tightening. So these are the temporary shocks that are delaying the impact of reforms. Hence, economic growth were adversely impacted during this period. That is why it is impacted. Now, if you see this situation, this is completely analogous to the 1998 to 2003. Because they have come up with lot of reforms and there were temporary shocks. Now, but after 2003, the reforms of 1998 and 2002 started yielding good results. Will the same thing is going to happen once these global shocks recedes? That is what the survey is questioning and survey is trying to answer. Now, if you take the case of reforms of 1998 to 2002, they have taken up various reforms. They continued with the reforms that have started in the year 1991. With a renewed impetus, they have started this, implemented the reforms. And under that, they have liberalized the FDIs, foreign direct investments, they have liberalized. New telecom policy was brought that created a revolution in the telecom sector. And IT sector boom in India. Yes, there was an IT sector boom during that time. And the policy on disinvestment and privatization was also gathered steam. Yes, there was a separate ministry called Ministry of Disinvestment. They have privatized the major public sector undertakings. And the golden quadrilateral, yes, they have given massive focus on infrastructure, both at the national level and village level. Golden quadrilateral is a national highway, but apart from that, there is a Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana at the village level roads. And Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Act, this has brought some sort of discipline in the both at the state level and central level as far as finances are concerned. They are not entering into a high debt burden level. They have started disciplining themselves. That is another reform. And Sarfa AC Act, yes, Sarfa AC Act to recover, Sarfa AC Act allowed the banks and financial institution to recover their dues by proceedings against the secured assets of the borrower or guarantor without the intervention of the court or tribunal to recover, because bank has to be in a healthy condition. So these are some of the reforms that were brought, major reforms that were brought. And in taxation also they have brought some reforms, but survey is mentioning about these things. And as a result, if you see, the reforms are taken during this period, but it has started yielding the results after that. It has started yielding the results after that. And if you see the post FRBM, the level of debt burden, fiscal deficit, it has started reducing, but it has started yielding after some time. And even if you take the case of growth of non-food credit by scheduled commercial banks, yes, in the post 2003 it increased. It has decreased later, there is another reason, but there is an increase. So that means these reforms have started giving the results, but they have started giving the results after some time, because there are some temporary shocks during that time. What are the shocks in between 1998 and 2002? One is, yes, this sanctions imposed by the US on India, because India tested a nuclear weapon in Pokhran, 98. And after that, the period between 2000 and 2002 witnessed two successive droughts. So two successive droughts will severely impact the Indian agriculture sector, that is have a major impact on majority of the people. At that time it may be 60% of the people depending on agriculture. And global uncertainties and 9/11 attack, and the balance sheet of Indian financial system and corporate sector were under repair, because after in the 1997 also there was a loose monetary policy. Because of that, non-performing assets of a banking system has increased, so that create a dual balance sheet problem. Okay, that is balance sheet of bank and balance sheet of companies. So this problem and global uncertainties and sanctions imposed on the successive droughts is a temporary shock. But once those shocks are over, because even though we are having these many shocks, we have prepared the groundwork for the Indian economy to grow at a higher rate, and that has started yielding the results after some time. Now, if you take the case of the present government, so they have taken various reforms like creating public good, trust-based governance, private sector participation, agricultural productivity, ease of doing business and ease of living. So what are the reforms that they have taken? They have taken various reforms. If you see the capital expenditure, you just see financial year 21, 22, 23, it is an increase. It is an increase. And if you take the case of the infrastructure, on infrastructure, what was the steps taken by the government? They have taken dedicated program for road connectivity, that is Bharatmala, a port-led infrastructure development program called Sagarmala. They have taken about electrification, the village electrification completed. Now they are focusing on rural electrification. They are focusing on household electrification. So village electrification is completed. A village is electrified, that doesn't mean that every house in the village is electrified. Now they are focusing on house to house. Railways upgradation, yes, there is a massive increase in railway infrastructure, and also new technological upgradation, electrification, and operationalizing the new airports and air routes under Udan scheme. Yes, from 74 we increased the number of airports to the 147. National infrastructure pipeline, yes, we are creating a massive focus on creation of infrastructure with 111 lakh crore in the next 5 years. And asset monetization, yes, we need to put to use the unutilized brownfield assets of the government. So this is how we are creating the infrastructure. These are the reforms that we have taken. And as a result, if you see they have given in the year 2011, 2020, 2014. On this particular parameter, if you consider the value is 100 in 2011, what will happen in the year, what happened in 2020? See, take the case of electricity installed capacity. Assume it was 100 in 2011, but by the time of 2020, it was 215. The cargo handling capacity of the ports, assume it was 100 in 2014, it is in 2000, it is 180 in 2020. The same case with the railway track, the same case with the national highway. Assume it was 100 in 2011 and it was 187 in 2020. A massive increase. That means we are also preparing the ground. We are also preparing the ground for the economic growth for the future. Now, in public digital infrastructure, and that is under normal infrastructure. Under public digital infrastructure, financial inclusion, creation of formalization, increase in efficiencies and enhanced opportunities. In that you see the JAM Trinity, Jan Dhan Aadhaar Mobile. We have saved lot of money, a targeted delivery, and digital verification of eKYC, digital signature, digital repositories like digital locker, digital payments like UPI. And again, these two are important. Open network for digital commerce and account aggregators. These two are important. Just read it from the PIB. So open network for digital commerce means like it is an open e-commerce platform through which anyone can sell or anyone can purchase from anywhere. So like how UPI has revolutionized the digital payments. Through UPI you can transfer to anybody. You no need to have a separate wallet. Okay. So like how you can do with UPI the digital transaction. This is open network for digital commerce is revolutionizing the e-commerce activities. Anyone can, by using the open platform, anyone can do any transaction. Next, account aggregator framework. Account aggregator framework means in a particular financial institution, a person is having the account and he wanted to deal with the another financial institution in which you don't have the account, maybe for the credit needs or maybe for any other needs. Now we are creating a third party called account aggregators. These account aggregators will collect the information from this financial institution and will send the information to this financial institution, so that a person can get the benefit easily, and this happen only with the approval, with the consent of the customer. Otherwise, if there is no third party, if you want to physically give this information from this institution to this institution, it involves lot of procedure. So to avoid that procedure, we have created account aggregator. They are RBI approved institutes. Okay. So that is Open Network for Digital Commerce. This is Commerce Ministry initiative. This is Reserve Bank of India's initiative, account aggregator framework. So they will open up for further avenues for e-commerce market access, that is for ONDC, and credit availability for small businesses, that is with the account aggregators. These are the reforms taken. So again, there are some more reforms: digitalized GST system and growth in usage of UPI, creation of digital identities such as Aadhaar, registration of unorganized workers under the e-Shram portal, important. Street vendors under Swanidhi scheme, so they got a benefit of loan of 10,000 rupees. Tax paying firms on GST network, fast network, yes. MSMEs on the Ujjam portal, yes, registration of the MSMEs, so that they will be formalized, they will get benefit, any statutory benefit. The National Single Window System for Business Approval, that is part of ease of doing business. Jan Samarth portal for credit linked central government scheme. Suppose if you want any credit link information related to the any credit linked scheme, if you open Jan Samarth portal, you will get it. So it is not something a free money. Any credit linked scheme means they will provide some loan assistance. If you want anything, if you open Jan Samarth portal, you will get it. And Umang app for access to the central government and state government services. So Umang application will gives you the information related to the various central and state government services. And e-Shram portal for registration of the unorganized workers, that already registered 28.5 crores. And in implementing the programs also, we have enhanced our efficiencies, we have brought more coordination, we have started using the technology. So that is how we have brought the reforms. Again, trust based governance. If you see the trust based governance, IBC, Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, is very, very important. This Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code is bringing both creditors and debtors onto the same platform to resolve their debt, and this has brought some psychological and even behavioral change also. Now even the people are not interested to go for this corporate insolvency resolution process. Even before they enter also, they try to resolve it, because that has brought that behavioral change. And as a result, an assets worth of 7.3 lakh crore were disposed before they were admitted into CIRP. So such reform we have brought. It is now easy for both debtors and creditors who are very honest. Okay. Now, simplification of IBC and Real Estate Regulation and Development Authority, RERA. RERA has helped a lot for the real estate projects, for both home buyers and as well as the project developers, when it comes to the clearances, when it comes to the grievance redressal mechanism. And decriminalization of minor economic offences under the Companies Act of 2013. And apart from that, Government of India is going to bring Jan Vishwas Bill. So they are going to decriminalize lot of offences. For pretty thing, if you start criminalizing, then it is very difficult for us to comply with the rules and regulations. That is why we have started decriminalizing some minor economic offences, not major, minor. And simplifying the processes by doing away with 25,000 unnecessary compliances. So unnecessary compliances 25,000 we have removed, and 1400 archaic laws we have repealed. This is what a trust based governance. This is what simplification of the processes. And abolishing some of the taxes like angel tax, removing the retrospective taxation. So these are important reforms that will attract the new investors. And again, unified GST, reducing the corporate rates, corporate structure has rationalized, exemption of sovereign wealth funds and pension funds from taxes, and removing the dividend distribution tax. So these are all reforms that we have taken up. This will help the wealth creator to create more wealth. This will help the investor to invest more. This will help the people to start business. And if you see the GST collection, it is increasing, and from financial year 18 you can see, okay, this is the level of increase. The GST collection has not increased consistently in the last 5 years because there is a COVID-19 year. Now if you take the case of private people participation, you can see the new public sector enterprise policy for Atmanirbhar Bharat has thus been introduced. Yes, new privatization policy. They have given only some 4 broad areas as the strategic sector, and in that only government of India will have a bare minimum presence. In remaining all those things, government will privatize, because government strongly believes in government is not here to do the business. Private participation, and we have started production linked incentive scheme. For every incremental increase of production, they will get some monetary benefit from the government of India. This is to enhance the capacities, this is to increase the production of the companies in India. And further liberalization of the policy towards FDIs. Yes, lot of other sectors are now open to the foreign investment, that to 100% in an automatic route. The strategic sector like defense, mining, space, they have opened it for private people. Private people are now ready to enter. And national logistics policy, and the number of registered startups, as a result you see 452 in 2016 to 84,012 in 2022. The level of increase in startups in India from 450 to 84,000. And also emergency credit line guarantee scheme for MSMEs, those who are in distress because of the COVID-19, and they have instructed the banks, I am here to repay if something goes wrong. You please sanction the loan to the MSMEs. That is how the government of India helped the MSMEs with the credit line guarantee scheme. And lot of MSMEs got benefited, and they have started working again, and that is how they are contributing to the GDP growth or the country's development. And introduction of threats to address the delayed payment for MSMEs. MSMEs, when they are supplying the raw material to the big companies, they don't get the payment immediately. They will get only the trade receivable bills. They don't get money. Then who has to give the working capital to them? And government of India come up with this scheme. This is a financial intermediary where they will receive the trade receivables of the MSME, and they will pay the money, so that MSMEs don't have a cash crunch or a working capital crunch. That is how they streamline the process. And as a result, if you see the FDI inflow into the country, they have taken the 5 to 15, now they have taken 15 to 22. On average, as a percentage of GDP, you can see the increase 2.6. Earlier it was only 2.2. And enhancing the productivity in agriculture. Apart from the private people, see the case of agriculture, what reforms they have brought. The agriculture sector in the last 5-6 years, it has grown at an average rate of 4.6%. Very good growth rate. 4.6% is really a good growth rate. And soil health card, micro irrigation fund, organic and natural farming have helped the farmers to optimize the resources use and reduce the cultivation cost. Yes, you no need to use all the fertilizers. Just check your health of the soil, and whatever the required nutrients, only those things you provide. And micro irrigation fund, don't go for the flood irrigation where it involves a lot of cost. Just go for a precise irrigation like micro irrigation. It reduces your cost. Like that we have started. And even organic farming, organic and natural farming, you no need to purchase synthetic fertilizers. And agriculture infrastructure fund, to enhance the infrastructure. If you enhance the infrastructure, that adds the value to your agricultural produce, ultimately that benefits the farmer. And farmer producer organization, FPOs, and national agricultural market, e-market, yes, they will enhance the marketing facilities to the agricultural produce and add the value to the agricultural produce. Kisan Rail exclusively caters to the movement of perishable agricultural and horticultural commodities. And cluster development program, so they will divide an area into cluster, and with a specific focus they will provide the necessary inputs, they will provide the necessary marketing facilities, they will provide necessary processing facilities. That is how they are focusing on a cluster development. And support for creating startup ecosystem in agriculture. Yes, there are new technology based solutions are required for the agriculture sector. For that, you cannot expect the farmer to adapt to that new technology without the support of any new innovator. So here, what are the new startup that they are coming? They will open a new unit in that cluster and all the farmers will get a benefit. So they will provide some scientific solutions to the farmers, that to the problems of the farmers. Okay. Now, even apart from that, Reserve Bank of India has taken up various measures, like amended the SARFA-AC Act to strengthen it, and they have brought the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code to resolve the bad debts of the bank, and also it reduces the burden on both the corporates and as well as the bank financial institutes. And launch of asset quality review. Yes, banks must review their asset quality, otherwise they are going for an evergreening of loans that is not going to help at all. So Reserve Bank of India started asset quality review to clean up the bad debts of the banking system, and it has introduced the prompt and corrective action. If any bank is going into a stress, then immediately they will find it out and they will give some corrective action so that it can recover from that limited loss instead of going into a bankruptcy. Okay, and even recapitalization of the public sector banks. So government of India recapitalized some of the public sector bank, and whenever it thinks, it has merged some of the public sector bank to make the bank more stronger, and it helped in cleaning up the balance sheet of the banks and corporates. So these are the steps that the government of India has taken in the last 9 years, in the last 8 to 9 years. Okay, so but if you looking into the shocks, now they are comparing it in a box. So earlier the problem in 1998 to 2002, the temporary shock was nuclear test, banking and corporate, the dual balance sheet problem, and 2 successive droughts, and US recession, and 9/11 attack and technology burst. But if you take the case of 2014 to 2022, what are the challenges? Yes, the period of banking, non-banking, non-financial corporate sector balance sheet problem. See, because of the excess loans, because of the loose monetary policy that we have followed in the post 2008 crisis, that has created a problem between the bank and the corporate. So corporate in the sense the bank and non-financial corporate. What happened to this non-banking? Yes, there is a problem of non-banking financial company. A major non-banking financial company, NBFC called ILFS, has collapsed in 2019. That has impacted severely the NBFC sector also, because along with the banks, the NBFCs are also playing an important role in meeting the credit needs of India. So that's why there is a problem of bank, there is a problem of non-bank, there is a problem of non-financial corporate sector. That is the one temporary shock that affected the Indian economy. An unprecedented pandemic that followed by the Russia-Ukraine war and the monetary tightening. So these are the shocks now we are having. So these are the shocks that we are having now, these are the shocks that we are having then. When it comes to the reforms, whatever I have explained, again that they have given it in the box. Now growth returns. If you see, what they are saying is, the balance sheet strengthened in the financial sector as a measure of reforms. The balance sheet strengthened. Corporate sector deleveraged about 30 percentage points. That means now they are started losing their burden. Now they are entering into a positive trajectory, and the macroeconomic stability is also good. But once these global shocks are faded away, then definitely we can enter into a good growth trajectory. That good growth trajectory that they have mentioned it in the, just a minute, I will show you, that they have mentioned it in the economic survey. So in the economic survey, they are saying, though we are having these many global shocks, but the India is having a capacity to grow at a rate of some 8%. So they are saying, like, though we are having some important global shocks, but India can still grow at a rate of 7 to 8% in the medium term. That is a real growth. That means nominal can be much more high. And again, the digital infrastructure that we have created in the last 6 to 7 years will also add some 30 to 50 basis points to your GDP growth rate. So that means 0.3 to 0.5%. 0.3 to 0.5%. So that means though there were temporary shocks, the temporary shocks can only delay the growth process, but they cannot halt the growth process because we have already taken up reforms. So if you are taking up the reforms, sometimes temporary shocks will create some hurdles. That is what the same case, that is the reason government said, economic survey is saying, don't worry, the infrastructure or the various reforms that we have taken, that is having a potential to give 7 to 8% real growth rate in the medium term. In the medium term, your digital infrastructure will alone add 0.3 to 0.5% growth rate. So this is the potential, this is the medium term growth projection that is given by the economic survey. So this is something related to the second chapter. Okay, thank you.
Amrita IAS Academy.